Alright, today we're solving Leetcode's longest palindrome challenge. Given a string S, which consists of lowercase and uppercase letters, return the length of the longest palindrome that can be built with those letters. Letters are case sensitive, for example, uppercase A and lowercase a is not considered a palindrome. Example 1, we have an output of 7 because one of the longest palindromes that can be built from the input string is DCCACCD, whose length is 7. You could also swap out the middle letter A for the letter B and it would still be a valid palindrome. Example 2, we have a string with a single letter, so the output is 1. The constraints tell us that the length of the input will be greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to 2000, and it will consist of lowercase and or uppercase English letters only. We're going to solve this with a hash map and a single for loop. The solution has a big O of time and space complexity. We'll start by initializing an empty object and a variable called length with a value of 0 that will keep track of our longest palindrome. Then we'll iterate through our string input and either add the character to the hash map with a value of 1, or if the character has already been added, we'll just add 1 to the value. Next, we'll check if the character's value remainder operator 2 is equal to 0. If it is, we'll add 2 to our length total. So how does this work? Well, if you have an even number of a specific character, then you can evenly distribute those characters on the left side and right side of a palindromic string. If our for loop starts at the letter A, we add it to the hash map and check if its value of 1 remainder 2 is equal to 0. It's not, so the for loop iterates. We add B to the hash map, and again, 1 remainder operator 2 does not equal 0, so the for loop iterates. We add the letter C to the hash map. The if condition evaluates to false, and the loop iterates to another letter C. We add 1 to the existing C's keys value. It now has a value of 2, and 2 remainder operator 2 equals 0, so we add 2 to our length total. The loop iterates, and we have another C, so we add 1 to its keys value. 3 remainder operator 2 does not equal 0, so the for loop iterates. We have another C, which gives its key a value of 4 now. 4 remainder operator 2 is equal to 0, so we add 2 more to our length total. Now we have the letter D. We add it to the hash map and initialize it with a value of 1. 1 remainder operator 2 does not equal 0, so the for loop iterates to another letter D. We add 1 to its existing value, giving it a value of 2. 2 remainder operator 2 equals 0, so we add 2 more to our length. For loop iterates out of bounds and we exit the loop. Okay, now we have one last thing to do as we return the length total. We need to check if the length of our input string is greater than the length that we're about to return. If it is, then we need to add 1 to the length and return it. If it's not, then we're just going to return length. So why is this? Because right now our length is always going to be even since we were only adding 2 to it in the for loop. But of course, palindromes can be an odd number length as well. So if we have extra characters left over, we can just stick 1 right in the middle and still have a valid palindrome, as seen in the example 1 explanation where we have a possible palindrome of DCCACCD. Again, you could also swap out the A for the letter B since both were single letters. Let's translate this to code. Okay, we'll start by initializing our empty object. We'll initialize a variable called length with a value of 0. We'll set up our for loop to iterate through the characters of our input string. Inside of our for loop, we'll add the letter as a key to the hash map, and we'll either add 1 to its existing value or initialize it with a value of 1 if it doesn't exist yet. Then we'll check if the current letter's value is even, and if it is, we'll add 2 to our length total. Finally, we'll return a ternary operator that checks if the input length is greater than our length total. If it is, we're going to add 1 to our length. If it's not, then we're just going to return length. And that's our solution. Let's copy and paste this in Leetcode. Okay, let's paste it in here, hit submit, and we get an accepted solution. Thank you for watching.